everybody. My name is Oliver Bass, joined alongside by Pyro J, and this is the esports.net Rocket League show, a show all about Rocket League and everything about it. And today we are joined by a special guest. We have none other than ANDYTHEMANDY. Andy, my guy, how are you doing on this fine, I believe it is evening for you over in the UK, correct?
I don't know. I'd go for afternoon, really.
Yeah, all right. Afternoon,
So close.
It's an early 8 a.m. for us over here, but we are up bright and early to talk to the coach of Luna Galaxy all about the season, their team, and everything in between. Andy, again, I think before really anything else, do you mind giving a little bit of a background maybe to our audience about your team, who you are, your coaching in general?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm obviously a Rocket League coach. That's first and foremost. That's me. I got into Rocket League coaching through having a degree in football coaching, and I just carried it over. My first few, I would say, teams and stuff, it was just working out what applies and what doesn't from football. That's English football, by the way, not real football.
Real, no, that is real football, though.
We got it, okay, but definitely a good reminder for everybody.
But yeah, I just found out what applies, what doesn't. Took it to the next level. I grew with experience, and now I feel like I've been with quite a few teams. Settled down a bit with Matean as we've become somewhat of a duo. I don't know if a coach and a player can really become a duo, but you know, we're starting that trend, I guess.
Yeah, actually, let's work off of that because it's a really interesting trend in a relationship I find that's very unique. Andy, you've been working with Matean now for, I think we talked about almost 4 years now, all the way since like 2019 or so. Talk to me about, and feel free to correct me if it's earlier in 2019.
I think it's about that.
Okay. Talk to me about how important that relationship is to have with a player, and if that develops or evolves over time as you get sort of the new players in the rotation.
So it's always like, the thing for me is I feel like it's good to always have someone you can like trust and rely on. It feels almost like, and it's always, you know, somewhere to like grow together and like start with. Obviously, we were with Arju for a very long time, and we were very happy with Arju for a very long time. And unfortunately, how relationships seem to work, especially in Rocket League and esports, is they do just begin to grow apart as like the differences start to come out. Or, you know, even I feel in Rocket League, you get too used to someone and you don't play off of instinct anymore, and you try and like guess what they're going to do, and it just starts peeling you away eventually. Obviously, that's why I feel like maybe it's easier for a coach and a player to get that connection, because, you know, we don't share the field. We just share, you know, the team atmosphere in a way. And obviously me and Matean work, so we've been pretty solid. Maybe, you know, one day it will end, but it seems right now it seems pretty solid.
Nice.
I mean, you guys have worn a lot of hats through your time here as a Stan of Smokes, a longtime supporter. I was watching that guy well before he was touching anything to do with pro play. I was ecstatic to see when you guys did actually add him to the team, and I will say I'm very ecstatic in your newest addition in Raziers as well. Feels like you guys have a really, really good trio right now, and you've got the backing of Luna Galaxy behind you as well. Do you mind talking a little bit about your expectations with Raziers on the team now? Because I know you guys went from very good team already, who were doing well consistently, to now you've made Gamers 8. Was this the expectations when Raziers was added to the team, or is it just kind of like, I guess this is where we're at type of vibe?
Gamers 8 was huge. So we obviously, Raziers making it the season before with
they follow me on Twitter. I should know this.
Heat?
Yes, I think it's Heat. I believe Heat. Yes.
Yeah. Raziers making it the season 4 with Heat was like that was like a thing in our heads. We were like, okay, we've added Raziers. We can't do worse than that now. That's the bottom line kind of thing. Me, Matei, and Arju did not compete with Cash for Gamers 8, mostly due to respect for Misfits Gaming at the time, who were they were against like humanitarian rights and stuff. So mostly in respect for that, we decided not to compete. And so we never had an expectation for Gamers 8. Maybe we would have made it last year, maybe not. But Razier's very good at ones, solid in twos, and yet again solid in threes. Like, we played great in threes in that tournament as well. So yeah, we did very well. Obviously coming second in that qualifier as well was really good for us, only losing out to Zen. You know, that guy is just another level. But yeah, Gamers 8 is a good thing for us. I'm really happy about that. But obviously, the split didn't go the way we wanted at all.
Good. Yeah, Gamers 8 is going to be such an interesting. I just want to stick on this point for a little longer because not every team is graced with a player who is so good at ones, right? When we talk about Zen, we also talk about the streak that he had in the 1v1 showdowns, and Braziers was one of those players who he was able to beat, right? That was still like a really interesting and cool match to watch. Do you feel like you have the upper hand against other teams in that regard, or is it going to be tougher because maybe your team hasn't been together as long as some of the other competitors?
So, twos and ones, obviously, I think we're really strong. And the issue is when you look at a lot of the Gamers 8 teams, like that, I ain't throwing shade on anyone, but you look at like the teams more in the Middle East or the South American teams, kind of. I feel like they have so much individual skill and they are really good in these ones and twos categories, but they kind of fall flat in the threes. I would say Guild are a really good example of that. Last season, when they were in the Gamers 8 and they, I can't remember, they came second or first, right?
I
Guild,
think they came second. Yeah, I want to say so.
Yeah, and I think the difference there was that Fury are such a strong freeze team. So I think for us, one of the reasons we qualified is because we were solid in threes alongside the twos, the ones. We kind of had the whole thing. Whereas like other teams in our levels in threes, they didn't have that twos and ones, and other teams that are on our twos and ones level didn't have the threes.
Well-minded approach here. It sounds like you guys are relatively prepared for it, and not to poke at a sore topic here, but I do have to ask a little bit about. You said expectations for this split in particular were maybe a little bit different than what actually ended up happening for you guys. I know it wasn't necessarily the best track record overall for the final split here of RLCS, but looking forward into the next season, I'm not going to ask you guys full plans about that because I know we've got a potentially long off season coming up here, so who knows what's going to go on with teams. But for the time being and looking forward here for Luna Galaxy, what are your expectations for the team overall? Are you guys looking to be able to compete with the best that Europe has to offer in competitions that may pop up regionally? Are you trying to qualify for other lands similar to Gamers 8, or is it just sort of take it a step at a time right now, see eventually what is your limit for this team?
So obviously expectation has taken a hit from the performances. That's always going to happen when you feel like you underperform to what you're capable of. Obviously, as you said, Raziz is a wonderful addition. He's a great player, individually so talented. I just think the team didn't find the right way to gel this split. And that, that can be pinned on me, that can be pinned on everyone, but I feel like we've taken that on as a team rather than trying to pin it on anyone. And it's just a discussion point, more or less. Gamers 8 is basically the focus now. And then after Gamers 8, that will be where we put our focus into how to make the team reach those expectations.
Nice. Reaching those expectations, right? Closing that gap as much as your team can. Surely as a coach, you have so many different strategies and tactics to get your team there, to keep level-headed and keep focused on the goal. One of those tactics is one that every team takes, are scrims, right? And we talked a little bit behind the scenes, Andy, how you're not only the coach right now, you're also the manager. So that means that you're probably handling a lot of the scrim stuff. There's even a hot debate between NA and EU, how EU top teams are sometimes a little more open to scrimming all of top 16 than some of the NA teams. I'm not sure how true that is. Maybe you can remark on that. But at least from your standpoint, Andy, how important is it to get your guys in front of the top teams in the region?
I mean, scrims are obviously they've been a thing in esports for so long. They're like so important, and unlike a football team, you can't just like run out on the pitch with 20 like all the subs and reserves and do something between yourself, which I think would be ideal. Obviously, if we could build strategy behind closed doors, that would be obviously the best. But we have the reason why I think esports is so wonderful in a way as well is that we have to reveal our strategy to the people we're literally trying to use it against, and we have to just say that we are smarter than you, we are better than you, we can apply it better than you, kind of thing. And then we have to go and do it out on the pitch. So for a lot of people, scrims do not reflect what they bring out in the tournaments. And that's a really key thing when wanting to scrim a team. Like, if a team plays entirely different in scrims as they do in tournaments, which this split was kind of us, to be honest. Like we would scrim, and as I said, like everyone performs differently, so it could be that those teams that perform in tournaments weren't performing in the scrims, and the teams that performed in scrims weren't performing in the tournaments, for example. So when it came to performing well against what we considered a good team and then not being able to do it in the regional, it was very like I want to say like jarring to deal with.
Yeah.
It was a new experience for us, because at least for me, for the past few seasons with Arju and Matane, it's always been we exceed those expectations in a tournament. We kind of like we go from 100 to 110% kind of thing. I would never say we were a bad team in scrims, but we were always slightly better in a tournament, more focused, more like gelled kind of thing.
Well, in that case, how do you rebound from something like that? Has the strategies changed from what you guys were doing prior? Is it the same sort of thing, like you said, just focus on the next tournament? Or is there a specific method, at least in your mind, specifically with this Luna Galaxy team, that you would take into account after taking a couple tough losses like that?
So obviously it's going to be to do with pressure, right? There's going to be a level of pressure that comes in RLCS, even that might be a different level of pressure that comes in Gamers 8. Because let's say we play that freeze in Gamers 8 and we lose it. We were always so confident in the 2s and the 1s that it was kind of less of a thought, I would say. You're not thinking about those things, whereas in RCS, every game matters. You're going to, the major being 5 teams is so small that every mistake matters, every loss. And in a double elim bracket, which is the most brutal bracket there is, which I'm not saying, take this split as an example of, we got unlucky with matchups, but playing top teams before top 12 is rough.
Yeah.
So, and that's always a thing that just affects you all the time. And then there's those matchups in double elim where you're like, we should win this, and then you kind of get ahead of yourselves, and then you end up not performing the way you want. So double elim is just like a minefield, and you just have to choose which mine you want to step on.
Oh man. Or hope that you're the mine that everyone else is stepping on.
Yeah.
See what you can do, right?
If you're having a day in double elim, it is lovely.
Man.
You just
the first regional, I was casting for sub in North America, and they had reverse swept G2 in their first matchup, and it was just hilarious. Everyone's like, "What is going on?" And that's the chaos of double elim. You make one misstep, and all of a sudden, you're facing FaZe Clan in round 2 of the lowers. So G2 FaZe was ridiculous. And there's a lot of ridiculousness coming up in RLCS. Talking about formats, we don't really know what to expect. But Andy, we did want to get your thoughts on some of the other things going on in RLCS. You mentioned the fact that only 5 teams can show up for EU at these majors, and Major in Boston just happened. 4 of those 5 teams from EU made it to the upper semis. EU just storming everybody at the major. From a coach's perspective, from one of the great teams in EU right now, did this fall in line with what you expected? Did you already know that EU was showing up to the table in this way?
Yeah, I don't think NA's close. I think, if I'm completely honest, when I watch the gameplay, and it's been for a while, I'm surprised it took them this long to fall behind again. But when the whole thing opened up, like RSSX, and then there was obviously COVID that stopped lands and they came back, I did not think NA was going to keep up as much as they did. So that was fair. That was pretty close when NRG played BDS. I thought, I was scared of BDS, bro. They were unbelievable. BDS Prime, RSSX into that major in Sweden, Mark getting the MVP and everything. They were crazy good.
So you think this, I'm not going to say supremacy, I don't know what to call it, this dominance from EU, right, was all the way back years ago. We would have seen this, a display like this in the BDS era.
Yeah, when BDS were playing the way they were.
Yeah.
And they showed it. I think even I remember listening to, I think it was Sears or Justin or something, NRG said about it. They were in the series and they literally turned to each other and said, "What are we playing against?" Because that BDS played some of the most like perfect Rocket League at times, and they just like they didn't seem to have mental barriers, pressure, anything. They just played so good. And now we're back there, but with vitality.
Yeah.
Now that vitality is showing up, and the issue is, like, on an individual level, they can challenge them, like the KC, the BDS, and who was the other one? Moist? Was it Moist?
Yeah.
Like they can challenge them on like a series, as we've seen. They lost that series in the major, but once vitality get going, I feel like they are just ahead, and that's going to be a problem. And none of the other regions matched up. Obviously, the thing is, you know they are sneaky. Sam are sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay, like they could have beat Vitality if they scored that shot.
Oh yeah.
Like, and
I
don't know.
As a proud Cole fan, that hurt. That hurt. The AJG shot continues to haunt me to this moment. Like this very moment.
Right.
It was Furia who took down Moist last season with Vatira.
Right.
Like, and Sam are sneaky. I think, like, if you think as well about even just this major, how many they sent Complexity in a way, they sent Furia in a way, then they sent their own two boys, and I believe one of them performed, right?
Yeah, Complexity, I want to say, made top 6 if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where they bowed out. They lost
and
to
then Ninjas in Pajamas took out
Nick,
Furia.
that's it,
yeah,
Nick.
that too. Yep.
So
Mana had the best goal the entire event.
Yeah.
So no, I totally agree. This was one of the first international events where Sam didn't make a top 4. I'm pretty sure they've been on a consistent streak
this
of
is
showing up internationally. So they're in that way they almost are sneaky, Andy, because it's like, okay, oh, no top 4 from Sam. Yeah, no, it's all NA. Oh, it's Mina, and it kind of is Mina, but at the same time, with these remarks on like NA being behind, it's definitely coming much more to light now. I couldn't agree more.
I just think,
Go ahead.
If I think overall, I think NA are closer to Sam and Mina than EU.
Oh, okay. I mean, look, I can't disagree.
His take is seeming less and less bold.
It really is. I think we don't have a lot to stand on right now. We have played.
But then again, that is the top of EU. You have to remember that.
True. But again, this actually it's a good transition, because I was going to say, what do you think fundamentally is the reason that we're getting to this point right now? Because what I'm hearing a lot, and I feel like is the number one narrative we're hearing right now, and I think you're going to be a good person to speak about this, is that EU is a lot more friendly to new talent and open to trying out new talent to see if it works. Again, good example for you guys, you have Metane. Metane is one of the most long-standing pros in Rocket League. Like, he's been around for a hot minute. Like you said, 2019, at this point, there's not a lot of pros left playing from that era. Yet Metane is still putting up good results in this day and age. He's playing with newer players. Smokes and Raziers are definitely younger players who are part of the newer generation of Rocket League, and a lot of people point to those opportunities being given in EU, while NA just kind of cycles out the same sort of veterans on repeat, expecting better results and not actually finding it, in comparison to teams that in NA have actually found success this year in SSG and Gen G, who have both taken young NA players and seen great success. Do you agree? Do you think that's the big separation right now, or is it something else that's kind of putting EU at a different level?
So I think there's two.
Okay.
I think there's two main things that lead to it. I think that is definitely one, and I'll speak on that very quickly, because I think I would personally put me and Matean as some of the biggest people to advocate for this. Obviously, when me and Matean started, it was Cash. It was Matean, Taz, Cash. And Cash was that young, just transitioned from console, came in, he stormed RLRS, he was so mechanical, everyone fell in love with Cash. Then we split with Cash, and everyone said, you'll never find someone like Cash again. Like that, you were so lucky. And then we were the people who gave Ixo a chance. He did have some tryouts that off season, but he did enjoy playing with us, and he decided to go with us. And then Ixo, literally, like you see him now, he is a mainstay. He was a demon on Galaxy Racer. He was a demon, Ixo. I can't lie, he was a demon. And then people said, you'll never find someone like Ixo again. So we went back with Cash, and we did great with Cash. And then everyone said, you're not going to find someone like that again. And then we found Smokes. Because that's what we do, apparently. Like, we just take these guys and we just show them how to lead the line. and we just do everything behind them. That's what I feel like. We make it. That's why I think Matane is still so able, because he enables. Like doesn't have to put it all on his shoulders. But then when he gets the ball, when he gets that space, we've seen it time and time again over the years. He can still score a good goal.
But then that's the one thing, right? You said there were two things that you feel like are separating EU.
Yeah. Now
So what's
this
the
is
second?
probably my football bias, but I think the Europeans' understanding of football. I think Rocket League, from my experience, the closest sport it is to football, and then maybe hockey. But hockey, I mean, hockey. I don't understand hockey too much, so I'm not going to speak on it. Maybe hockey is like this, but the rotational part for me comes a lot into like one defender pushing up, one taking up his space in like football. And I think that part is so easily just brought over from a European's understanding of football. You got Germany, Spain, you got Italy, France, England. All of those countries are just huge in football. The Champions League is so much further ahead than like the MLS. And like I just feel like that gives you a natural advantage in Rocket League.
I can't really disagree, if I'm being honest with that one. As somebody who played a lot of soccer throughout his life, I have spoken to many players, and it does seem like, I don't know what it is, but so many good players have some sort of major background within football/soccer. Like, again, talking to, I think it was Amphis from OCE on Power. Dude literally won a state championship for his soccer team when he was, I think, 18. Like, he's been one of the best soccer players in all of Australia, and then moves on to Rocket League, and is now arguably one of the best players in all of Australia, again, as a Rocket League player. So I think there's credence there. I'd have to agree with you. I think that the background naturally is going to give you a bit of an advantage here. But as much as I do want to talk about soccer and all of that, we're coming to the end of this interview. But before we do wrap this one up, Andy, I got to ask your predictions for Worlds here. It's right around the corner. Like you said, EU most likely to dominate here. Can I just get a quick, like, sort of 5 teams to watch that you expect for us to at least be seeing on Championship Sunday?
5.
If you want to do less, go ahead and do less. I'm just asking for a handful of teams to, like,
only 5. Rocket League is wild. So, obviously, I'm going to say
Yeah, the Vitality. Yep.
Vitality. And it's not just them, by the way. Don't take anything away from the other two. And Farah. Don't take anything away from Farah. Getting NA on his side, that was absolutely genius. And then the other two as well. Radisson, really surprising me with how
Big
well
ups to Rado.
Alpha, obviously, I've worked with Alpha in the past. He was always... This was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
He's phenomenally talented. KC, yeah, as well. KC, they're too good. BDS, yeah, again, I think if they could, I feel like if I watch their cams, I feel like if they could just keep it together a little bit more, they are so good. Like, they could literally have won that. They had 2 attempts on Vitality. They needed to realize that. I feel like they had 2 attempts. Losing one didn't matter. They beat them the day before. They could have won it. So obviously those 3. Then I feel like the only NA team I really feel confident in.
There's
I
one.
want to say.
I think he's gonna say Complexity. I think he's gonna take.
No. I'm talking about real NA team.
Okay.
I'm talking about real NA team. I ain't talking Gen G. I ain't talking any of them. I'm thinking, if I really, really think about, like, teams in NA who could do it. Actually, one I've slept on because they had a bad major, and I did sleep on them. Liquid, they are goated.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna say I'm not a Mina supporter. Sorry, I don't think they're that good. They did this last year. They showed up in the spring, and then they just fell off.
Okay.
And I'm scared they might do it again. It's not. I so many that I can think of in NA, but I just want to pick.
Yeah.
This is your last pick, by the way. You've given us 4 others, so this is your one last one for top 5.
I'm gonna say FaZe come back with a vengeance.
Oh.
I think it's a good pick. Look, they made a miss. They missed the major, but, like, they were competitive.
They're too talented.
On paper, it's too good of a team. Just too, like, on paper.
They're gonna be mad. They're gonna use it.
I like that top 5.
Those are mine.
I like that top 5 though. Vitality, BDS, Liquid, and then what's it called? Casey, Casey, and then FaZe. Yeah, and I don't need an order out of that. Just saying 5 teams to sort of watch. I appreciate that, and I can agree with you on that as well. I also. Not a conversation for today, but I rate your take on Mina as well. I've had that take on Mina for a hot minute. I think the inconsistency has been one of my biggest issues. The region, they absolutely have the talent, but their inconsistencies continue to plague them. Not the point. Not here nor there.
Quick one on Mina, by the way.
Okay.
Quick one. They're also a reason why I think EU are ahead, because it's just more players in rank to play against different styles. I think that's a really good thing to have.
Interesting.
South America, look at the difference
we need
here.
More time on somebody.
Sam's too high ping for it to be viable.
Also people complain about Sam when they come in to play on North American servers. Yeah, you've got the occasional complaint about MENA players playing on EU servers, but at the end of the day, it is making you guys better versus NA players, which don't seem to appreciate looking at another region and realizing how their talent works. I have realized we have ran completely out of time at this point, but Andy, we do really appreciate you hopping on with us here today. This was an absolute pleasure. Shout out to not only you, but shout out to Luna Galaxy for also letting you come on here today. Shout out to your team as well. You guys have got a lot of big stuff coming. Like we said, Gamer State Championship in Riyadh is just around the corner here. So for you, Matane, Smokes, and Raziers, I'm very excited to see what you guys have got. As a longtime supporter of Smokes, I will guarantee you I'll be cheering from the sidelines if I can. So again, really do appreciate your time on here. Before we let you go, any shout outs you might want to give, maybe some of the people that got this thing together, maybe some of your teammates? Floor is yours before we end this one out.
I'll just say, obviously, shout out to the team. I love the boys. I love spending time with them. It's a pleasure to work with them every day. Shout out to our ex-manager, Dennis, now over at Liquid. He's doing a great job. Obviously, all the friends I've made in Rocket League along the way. Congratulations to Yanis, especially, Alpha 54 for winning the major. He deserves it. And to you, welcome to the Smoky Bacon fan club. You're now in the Smoky Bacon Association.
I will wear that title with pride. Andy, thank you again for coming on here today. Guys, this has been the esports.net Rocket League show. If you guys want more information about this show or want to tune on in again, make sure to click subscribe. Make sure to check out esports.net itself. We've got articles all the time. We've got more Rocket League content like this, and we've got more coming up next week. Thank you again. My name's Oliver Bass. This has been Pyro J. That's been Andy all the way down there at the end. And we hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. See you next time.